Hello once again to Stamp Collecting Fun. It's becoming a bit of a habit, isn't it? I've received some stamps this morning and I thought I'd get them out of the way. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. They are French. They are old. And I thought I'd go through what I've received with you. I thought I'd share that with you. So the first stamp I'm looking at here is the Republic of France. So it's just after the French Empire collapsed and was declared a republic. So what have we got here? Well, we've got a 5-cent stamp, which is cancelled. These were produced between 1871 and 73. It says on it, Repub Frank, and it's got some sort of dotty old cancel on it. It may have some date on it, but I'm not going to go too deeply into that. It's just after, I would say, this stamp was issued just after the end of the Franco-Prussian War, following which France changed from empire to a republic, but more of that later. Anyway, we'll go to the next stamp. Okie dokie, here we've got a 4-cent Empire Francais stamp, and on it we have a face of a gentleman, that person being Napoleon III. Again, there's sort of dotty cancellations going on with this. There's some dinks in this stamp. You know, it's not valuable by any means, but it's nice and old. This stamp was issued between 1863, so we're going back a bit there, until 1870. It is grey in colour, or certainly described as that, and it is an Empire stamp, Napoleon III. Okay, next stamp. This is slightly clearer, isn't it? So the colour probably makes a big old difference as age comes along. Now, who we've got with this one is a 20-cent blue, and the first difference between the two, so you can then apparently, I've had to look it up, why is one Francais and the other one's Franc? So what it does, it doesn't tell me why they changed that, but it does tell me what year this blue one would be, which is different to the previous one because they changed the wording. Okay, so what do I know about this one? Well, it's 20 cents, it's blue, and it was produced from 1862 to 71, so 1862 as opposed to 1863 with that one. So this one was before that. Nothing else, the face is a little bit clearer. Yeah, so that's quite nice. So we go to the next stamp. And here we have probably the same sort of issue. Yes, it is. Empire Franc. It's orange. It is a 40-center, so we're going up in value with this. So 40-center, and it's got the old dotty cancel. I'm not sure why. Carry on. Okay, this is a better one. This gives me something to get my teeth into slightly more. This is a 5-cent green stamp. It was posted in 1863 because we do have the date on it. 28th of Mars, which is March, presumably, 63. And it was franked or cancelled in Abbeville in France. It is Empire Franc again. It's a fiver. You can see 5. There's my thingy-majig. 5 is there. Dinks on it. I love the cancel. It will be added to my growing collection of cancels, and yeah, it's a thin stamp, and it's it's been through barricades probably. Okay, we go to the next stamp, which is a. Oh, by the way, I'll just return to this. So 1863. This stamp was issued between the years 1853 and 61. So someone has actually hung on to this a little bit. So it's a couple of years beyond its, not its sell-by date, because I'm sure, even today we can hang on to stamps and use them, and many people do, and particularly philatelists. They load their envelopes with mint stamps, British stamps, and it counts because the postage has been paid. When you buy the stamp, the postage has been paid. Whether you keep it in your wallet or in an album, or stick it on a letter, or throw it in the bin, it doesn't matter. It's been paid, and that will have applied, possibly. Don't take my word for it. Always do your own research. That would have applied then. Okay, Empire franc, a 1C. This is again 1853. This is in a more clear condition. I wouldn't say it's in a better condition, because that's the eye of the beholder, I would say. I mean, I do like that one because of all the added extras. I'll put up with a dink. I'll put up with marks and blemishes and stuff because it's got extra information. Anyway, back less of the rambles. Where was I? Empire franc, olive stamp. This is again Napoleon III is on it. You see a much clearer representation of him, and also the dots. That is used as the cancel. A nice stamp. Next one. Okie dokie. We're moving, I believe, on now. This stamp is a 4-cent stamp. We have to go back to here. So it's another version, or another in the set of that. Okay, damaged, cancelled, not in particularly good condition, bent in the middle a bit, hinged at the back. Empire Francais. It is grey. It is Napoleon III, probably right at the end of his reign. But who was this Napoleon III? I can hear you asking. Wasn't Napoleon defeated at the Battle of Waterloo and subsequently exiled, and the royals came back? Well, Charles Louis Napoleon Bonaparte was a relation or a descendant of his brother, maybe. What I do know about him, because I looked it up, was he lived from 1808. So a bit lazy, really. I don't even know how he's related to the Napoleon Bonaparte that we know and love. But we do know, well, I do know now, that Charles Louis Napoleon Bonaparte was born in 1808 and he lived until 1873. He was Emperor of France from 1852 to 1870. So maybe again, the common man got fed up with the royals and they kicked them out, and they thought, who are we going to bring back as as the president, as the emperor, as the leader, the ruler of France? Well, we'll return to the Bonapartes. So they had a look around and they found Charles Louis Napoleon Bonaparte. He was known in his youth as Louis. He actually held 3 posts, or you could say he was 3 things during his reign. He was the first president of France. He was the second emperor. So Napoleon Bonaparte being the first emperor, he is the second emperor. And finally, he was the last monarch of France. So that's quite interesting. Well, he was overthrown. Again, I think it was the end of the... if you lose a war, probably you're gone. The Kaiser was gone at the end of the First World War. Other people in Germany were gone at the end of the Second World War. The Emperor of Japan managed to cling on after the Second World War, but after the end of the Franco-Prussian War, which the Prussians won at a canter, the people of France decided his time had come, and out he went. And possibly that also helps end the conflict. Someone has to pay the price of that. Well, he didn't pay the ultimate price. Well, you may say he did, because 3 years later he was dead. But he was welcomed over to Britain by our rulers, and he died 3 years later in Chislehurst, which is around Sussex or Hampshire, somewhere like that. Again, I haven't done my research with that, but he died and was buried here in. He was buried in St Mary's in Chislehurst. Later on, after the death of his son, now his son was an interesting character. He would have obviously followed on from his father if his father had remained as emperor, but as they were over in England now, his son joined the British Army and was bizarrely killed in the Boer War in the British Army. Absolutely bizarre. And the mother, who may or may not have been related to our royals, was so moved by the loss of her son and her husband, had his body exhumed, and she built a mausoleum for her son, or crypt for her son and for her former husband. And he's buried there in Farnborough, which I think is in Hampshire, certainly in England. So there's a little bit of history about, and there lies the last of the emperors of France. Maybe. You never know, They are very keen now, France, on republic. So every stamp you see since then, they're pushing republicanism. The Americans also took great heed of what France did with regards to their republicanism, and copied many of the iconic freedom, liberty, the iconic sort of sayings and beliefs around republicanism, because the Americans had to, start from scratch. They became independent themselves, became a republic. That's why we got Republicans in the USA. That's probably all I know. I think they're nice little stamps. I mean, they're not perfect condition, but they're cheap enough for me to buy, and I've got some nice, early stamps. You can't beat an early stamp, and there's a bit of history, and there's that is quite a nice one. It's nice, and it's not clean, but it's clear. It's clearer than, for example, the grey one, which has been butchered by the cancellations. You can see the difference between the different hair there, and a bit of a beard going on there. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed looking up a little bit about Charles Louis Napoleon Bonaparte. So he was christened Charles Louis, but he was known as Louis. And an interesting aside: if you ever go to Southport, Lord Street is based on a boulevard which appeared during the reign of this emperor in France. So a lot of the streets were redone in Paris, in France, and a lot of the streets you see in France now are beautiful, avenues and wonderful walkways. That was down to him, and when he came over to Britain, his ideas were introduced into some towns, one town being Southport and one of the streets there being Lord Street, a long, interesting, tree-planted thoroughfare, walkway, boulevard. Southport is quite French when you look at Lord Street. You can see the France in there. Anyway, that's me rambling on a little bit. That's all for now. So we'll have a decision to make now. Where are these going? Well, they're not going to be hinged. They're going to be put in a stock book somewhere, and they will rest there until such time that until such time I get a French stock book. I think that's what I need. Not a French stock book, but a stock book for French stamps. How's that? That's better. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.